Today we'll be going over the basics of the normal distribution. The normal distribution, or commonly also known as the Gaussian distribution, takes in two parameters. The first is the mean of the dataset, and then the second is the standard deviation of the dataset, and it uses this to plot its curve. You can figure out the standard deviation and mean of a dataset using MATLAB's functions. For example, to find the mean, you can use the average function in MATLAB. All you need to do is input the dataset as the one argument, and it will automatically return the average or the mean. The same goes for the standard deviation. Once you do that, you can directly plug it into the normal dense function, which will enable you to model your normal distribution via a curve. And you can add that to a MATLAB graph by right-clicking on it, going on the add variable. If there are no variables to be added, the list will be empty. However, as you can see, we have 4 curves added, and we can remove them by hovering over the remove variable, and we can remove A, B, C, and D. Now, the standard deviation essentially acts as a stretch factor. If we were to take curve A as an example, we can see that it has a standard deviation of 0.4. When we look at the graph, we can see that it is much more narrower compared to the others. This is because as it has a small standard deviation, all the points are much more concentrated around the mean compared to if it had a larger standard deviation such as curve C, which has a standard deviation of 2. We can see that curve C here is much more flatter as the points are not as concentrated around the mean, and this means that if you go more to the left or more to the right of the mean, it will not fall off drastically. Now the next factor is the mean itself. The mean itself shows how far away it will be from 0 or the origin. It can either be to the left or to the right. The positive mean will shift it to the right, and the negative will shift it to the left. We can see below with curve D, which has a mean of -2, and how its center compares with curves A, B, and C. As we can see, curve D, which has a negative mean, as opposed to these means which are of 0, is shifted to the left, and it is centered around the point -2 here, compared to all these 3 curves which are centered around 0. One of MATLAB's best features is its live document, which allows any changes to be updated in real time. We can see this with the normal distribution if, for example, we wanted to change our mean from 0 to 1. As we can see, the graph instantly updates and reflects this change. The same goes for if we want to change the standard deviation from 0.4 to 0.9. The graph automatically changes and updates to showcase the change. Now, this is perfect for presenting, showcasing, and testing any ideas, as it allows you to have your inputs and outputs all on one page and doesn't need you to be constantly changing between your console and the code you've actually written, but rather combines it into one where you can also add text to better explain and retain any ideas that you have.